Congratulations on receiving your citrus tree. What do you do next? I'm Ron and I'm going to walk you through step by step every single thing you need for citrus success. All right, first thing, you could have gotten one tree in a small box or multiple trees. Let's open them up and see what it looks like. Okay, so you've got your beautiful trees out, and take your care guide and any accessories, identify those, move them aside. And now you have your citrus tree. So what's on your citrus tree? You have the pot it's in, you have the soil, then you have the main trunk. This main trunk is covered with a straw. You can leave the straw on. It's used to prevent rootstock suckers from growing out. And then it's tied with this green tape at multiple points to this bamboo stick. That's gonna help your main trunk just grow straight and straight up. So you can keep this on until your tree grows large enough or you feel comfortable enough to take it off. So you got a couple tags on your tree, one that shows that it's from a certified nursery and what variety it is. Nice to keep that on so it doesn't get mixed up. You can adjust the width of it as it gets older, or you can lay it aside. Now, what do you do if you're not ready to plant, you're not ready to transplant? You just got this, maybe it was a surprise and you need to take some time. So what do you need to do to keep this alive? Two things: protect it against cold weather or very hot weather, and water. So you can take water and drench this until water runs out the bottom of the container every day for the next 1 or 2 weeks, or however long you have it in this container. So there's no such thing as overwatering. This thing is planted in super soil. This tree is planted in super soil. There's no such thing as overwatering for this. And then temperature wise, if it's under 50 degrees or 40 degrees, you want to bring it somewhat indoors or onto a patio. If it's like in the 50s, 40s, definitely bring it indoor and protect it. What may have happened during transport is if your tree had a lot of stress, a lot of time without water, or it's very hot, it may not look so lush. It may have leaves, and the leaves may continue to drop over the next 1 to 2 weeks. This is normal. Just protect it and keep it in partial shade and water it every day. Give it a full drench of water, plenty of water, and so your tree can come back and be lush again. Don't worry if anything goes wrong. We have a replacement guarantee within 30 days. So you can email us at tropicaltrees@uscitrusnursery.com. It's in the front of your care guide, and we'll walk you through it. But the main thing it needs is a little bit of protection. Sun is great for tropical trees and for citrus, but if it's in a weakened state or if it had that transport shot, you may want to keep it in partial shade, kind of like this environment right here, for a couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, and plenty of water. Water it every day, water it twice a day. Again, it doesn't matter. With super soil, you won't be overwatering it. Okay, what do you need to get started potting your tree? So the first thing you'll need is you'll need some sort of pot. So this is a 5-gallon pot. This is a great size for your tree to live the rest of its life in this home. You could go larger. Remember, if you're using a mineral-based soil, it's gonna be heavy. So what is a requirement for a pot? You know, it's very basic. It's plastic. You can use different textures or materials on the outside of your pot, but the main thing is it needs drainage holes. So you have this pot here, you have a 1-gallon pot here, and again, it has drainage holes. And we have a 3-gallon pot. Again, it has something with plenty of drainage holes. It can be anything really. You want the opening of the pot to be wider than any part of the pot. You don't want it to go out like this. Then if you put soil in it, you'll never be able to pull your tree out once the roots grow in. Then after that, after you get your pot, you could do anywhere from a 1-gallon to a 3-gallon to a 5-gallon size to start off with is fine. You could go larger too. Don't go anything smaller than a 1 gallon. That's barely bigger than your current pot right now, but it would work. It would be fine. As you can see, some of these plants here to the side of me are planted at 1 gallon. They grow really big. Then you're gonna need soil, okay? A nice mineral-based soil. Then you're gonna need some water. And then if you want to, you can add some mulch on top after planting, and you could use some microbes and fertilizer too. But the main things are you need a pot, and you need soil, and you need water, and you're ready to plant. All right, so we have our super soil. We're gonna pour all of it into one pot first, just to make it easier to handle. And we have a 10 pound bag of super soil I'm putting in here. This about nicely fits this 5 gallon pot. It's 5 gallons, but it's like technically 3.5. The naming conventions are a little bit weird, but something about this size, this does pretty well. So let's take our tree. So it has a hole on the bottom. You can push the hole, okay, and you can give it some more. If it's a little bit stuck, you can water it. You can push it. Don't worry, you're not going to break it. And then pull it up by the trunk. And then right here you have some nice, you have some nice roots. It's in super soil too. So we're going to fill up the bottom of this pot with soil until the height of your tree, this height of the soil line is going to be maybe an inch or 2 or 3 below the lip of the container. That way you can water it and soil won't spill out. That way you can add mulch and it'll rise a little bit. But over time it may settle a little bit, not too much, because it's mineral based. That means it's a thicker, heavier soil. So I'm going to hold this right here, and then you can take your hand trowel and just pour this on the bottom. Okay, so now we're gonna push. Now take your hands and just push down nicely on the tree and the soil, and now you have your tree planted in your soil. All right, as you can see, the tree already, the natural soil line has a little bit of root flare. So we plant this so that the top of the root flare is exposed so that it's not covered by too much soil. That allows your tree roots to breathe, because your tree roots need oxygen. As you can see, one 10-pound bag of super soil almost completely filled up this 5-gallon pot. You add some mulch and now you're perfect. So let's open up our mulch little bag. Our favorite mulch is rice hulls. Rice hulls are very dry. They're aesthetic. Insects really don't like them. Plus, they look amazing. It gives this nice white appearance on top of that black soil. It's really beautiful. So if you put a nice 1-inch layer or 1.5 or 2-inch layer of rice hulls, you'll never get any algae, you'll never get any weeds, and it gives you a nice barrier for the insects to travel up and down over the soil line to your tree. It helps block that, and it just looks amazing. It looks incredible. So you can put however much you desire, but now we got our rice hulls, we got our soil. Next step, we got to water this thing. We want to drench this plant so that it's fully soaked, and you want to drench and water it every day for the next week. All right, so what is soil? Soil is what your plant's roots live in. It needs oxygen, it needs to hold water, it needs to hold nutrients, it needs to give it structure, it needs to give it some weight too. All these things are important for support. So what is real soil in nature? Real soil is dirt. Dirt is either sand silt or clay. You guys know sand and clay. Sand is like the big coarse sand is like at the beach, and clay is real thick and sticky because it just holds on to everything. Sand lets everything go through. So what we developed is super soil, which is sandy loam from our own virgin property in South Texas, which is the perfect mix of mostly sand and a little bit of silt and clay. So we take that, but that's very heavy, but that's the ideal substrate for plant roots to grow any plant. But to lighten it up and to give it some different characteristics, we add in rice hulls and we add in cocoa coir, which is the shells of the coconut husk. So this helps improve water retention. This helps aerate and make it lighter. So what's the alternative? What does everyone else use? They use potting mix. Potting mix, all these garden soils, potting mix, everything sold at the big box stores, garden centers, is sawdust. That's right, it's trees, it's the waste products from the lumber industry. You're planting trees and other dead trees. So the problem with a purely organic based potting mix, which is what sawdust is, it's made from carbon, which is trees, is that it breaks down over time. As it breaks down, it's decomposing. Decomposition absorbs and takes up oxygen. Your plant roots need oxygen, they need aeration. If they don't have that, they're gonna get root rot and die. So that's very, very important, because a citrus tree isn't just like an annual, it won't live just for a season or for a year. It's perpetual. It should live 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in a pot and produce fruit. So it needs a very, very solid soil. So that's why we created super soil. If you want to create your own proper substrate, your own proper soil, you can use a ratio of 1/3 sand by volume, not by weight, 1/3 sand, 1/3 rice hulls, or perlite is acceptable to also use. That's very good stuff. And 1/3 cocoa coir once you soak this and expand this, or peat moss. You should be able to find all those things easily. You can find sand at Dirt Depot, you can find sand at Home Depot, etc. in bags. That's not as good as the sand we use. It's not steam sterilized, it's not filtered, but it's okay. It's better than your potting mixes. We had a lot of other things into super soil to make it a premium soil. We had 5% biochar, we had some CKA, we charged it with microbials, and we have some sulfur in there to help control and reduce the pH to make it ideal for any plant. So, and citrus likes a pH between 6 to 7, like most plants. 6 is really your ideal pH for any plant. So when you use a potting mix, when you use a soil for indoor gardening, for outdoor gardening, I would highly recommend you use a mineral-based soil. Mineral is referring to the sand. That sand comes from rocks. It's granite and rocks that have been weathered away over many years, over eons. So that is based off silica. It's not based off carbon. So it never decomposes. So it's permanent. It's going to be there forever. So use something like that, because that's what we have in nature. If you look outside, if you look at the forests, if you look at the jungles, everything is, if you look at the grasslands, everything is in dirt, which is either sand, which is a mixture of sand, silt, and clay, and all that is mineral based. But you can make your own, and you can make it in a way so it's lighter, and it has more characteristics of what you want, maybe a little more water retention, etc., etc. That's very, very important. That's one of the keys to gardening, and that's one of the 3 plant pillars. All right, so you've got your super soil in here, and look, it's compacted enough that it doesn't go through the holes, and now you got to water it. So when we talk about watering, we only talk about the drench method. It's as much water as this pot needs for water to soak down. I'm actually going to do it on this table so you can just see it better. So we're going to take a watering can, and we're just going to water on top, and you're just going to keep going until you see water coming from the bottom and you could do that once, you could do that twice. That's called drenching the soil. You want to drench the soil. That way you know that the soil is fully watered. The soil has full water capacity filled up all the way. So now you're going to see a little bit down here coming out. So in your care guide, you're going to see a chart with watering recommendations. This is all about drenching. How often should you drench? So for example, if you're indoors under 60 degrees, you only have to do this once a week, versus if it's outdoors, it's dry, it's not humid, it's a lot of wind, you should be watering your plant every day. So this is just a general recommendation. Every single tree is different. Every tree has a microclimate. It may be against a wall, it may have a drier wind, it may have more humidity in the environment. Depends on what soil you use. We're assuming you're using a mineral-based soil, which needs more water anyway. So use this chart right here and use the drench method. Don't put like 1 gallon or half a gallon. Just keep adding water until you see water draining from the bottom of your pot. So underwatering, overwatering, you'll hear all sorts of things online and advice. With a mineral-based soil, which is what your tree comes in and what we recommend you plant in, it is very hard to overwater your tree. It's easier to underwater your tree. It's harder to overwater your tree. We talked about watering your tree and the guidelines and looking at your tree, but when can you overwater your tree? You can overwater your tree when you stop the drainage. You can stop the drainage by putting anything on the bottom, a little piece of plastic, a little plastic saucer, they call them garden saucers. Put it underneath your plant and you'll always have that when you're planting indoors. You'll have a garden saucer so that the water doesn't ruin your floors and your furniture. So when you have that garden saucer, none of the water is draining. You've drenched it once and now that water is just staying in that system. So as it slowly evaporates and it's utilized by the tree, you need to give it some time so that that oxygen can come back in. Don't constantly water that plant. So if you have a plant with a garden saucer, if you drench it, and you may even want to go a little, here's where you want to be a little bit more careful with the watering and drenching it. You don't want to just keep going up until the thing is flooded. You want to do it until you see some water come up in there, or a little bit less, because it's all going to stay in there and it's all going to go towards the tree. That's a situation in which you can overwater your plant. Now, garden saucer, when is it useful for an outdoor plant? Let's say you're leaving on vacation. You can leave on vacation for up to 2 weeks. If you have a garden saucer, then let's say it's hot outside, you have a garden saucer, you want to drench and flood that plant. You want to drench and flood that plant because it's going to lose that water to evaporation, and it's not going to get any watering for the next up to 2 weeks. Okay, over 2 weeks, you definitely need someone to come in and help water your plants. But if you don't have that, one trick you can do is you can use a garden saucer, block that drainage, and you can add a lot of water, and you can add water to the garden saucer as well, knowing it's going to evaporate. And then even after it evaporates, you know, the tree does have some resiliency. It can survive, especially the bigger and stronger it gets. So those are the intricacies of overwatering and underwatering. Caveat is that's with a mineral-based soil. The ultimate guide is your tree. If the leaves are sad, they're wilting, they're browning, it's likely underwatering in a mineral-based soil. So add more water than whatever the guide is. Again, the guide is just a guide. It's not a set rule and such. Then on the next page, you're going to see that we have another guide for light and temperature. Low temperatures are the easiest way to kill your tree. So we have the rule of tens. If your tree is exposed to 10-degree weather, 10-degree Fahrenheit for 10 hours, it'll die. 20-degree temperature, if you expose it for 20 hours, it'll die. Same 30 hours and 30-degree temperature. That includes the wind chill. So if it's 30 degrees, but now you have a wind chill and it's actually feels like 20, the tree feels the 20-degree temperature, so the 20 hours apply. So Under 40 degrees, you want to bring your trees indoors. Now, let's say it's going to be 38 degrees for an hour. That should be, and it's going to warm up to the 50s the next day. That's fine. You can keep your tree outdoors. Remember, your tree has a scion and a rootstock, and they both have different compatibilities towards temperature. So even if one part is more cold hardy, the other may not be. So the easiest way is just under 40 degrees and freezing temperature, get your tree indoors or into a garage where it can be protected, and you'll do very well. That's how you keep, that's the key to keeping citrus in containers. Citrus is a tropical plant, so it actually loves sun. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, we have our groves and we have trees planted in the ground in full heat, 105, 106, 107 degree summer temperatures. Yes, they may wilt a little bit, but they pop right back afterwards. So citrus loves light, citrus loves heat. Get it as much light and as much heat as you can in general. If your tree is struggling a little bit, if it's had some sort of stress, if it's weak, if it's very, very small, that's a good time to give it partial shade. Something like this environment right here, something like maybe a patio, something where, you know, the sun's a little bit away from direct sunlight. Partial light is good for your plant. So those are ways, those are some general guidelines. You can use your care guide for that as well. Again, those are general guidelines on how to get your citrus tree to thrive. What do you need for gardening success? You need the 3 plant pillars. And we developed this not from books or from academia, which my dad is a PhD citrus scientist, but from experience and experimentation. So the first thing you need is a mineral-based soil. Use a mineral-based soil because all the potting mixes are made of sawdust. Even the ones that say they're for citrus and for cactus, it's maybe 5% sand. It's mostly all sawdust. As it breaks down and decomposes, it robs your plant roots from oxygen, which they need to survive and thrive. So use a mineral-based soil, which is sand-based, has a lot of weight, it's made of silica, and never breaks down. So mineral-based soil is number 1. Number 2, use organic fertilizer. Synthetic fertilizers are full of salt. They burn your tree roots. Too much salt can also cause root rot. And it also burns and kills all of the microorganisms. You use salt to preserve food anyway, so you know that it kills, we all know that it kills microorganisms. So use an organic fertilizer with lots of other things in there, with things like chitin, with things like hormones that are beneficial for your plant. Plus, most importantly, organic fertilizers are naturally slow release. They're slow release, they're activated by microbes, and they're not salt-based that kill all the microbes. So we developed Dr. Manny's Magic crab, kelp, and amino acids with crab shells, kelp, which is seaweed, and animal-based amino acids for gentle and complete nutrition for all of your plants, not just citrus trees. Finally, the last pillar of the 3 plant pillars is live microbes. How do all plants in nature, in the jungles, in the grasslands, in the forests, how do they all survive and thrive without anyone fertilizing them, without anyone giving any care? It's because each plant has trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, nematodes, protozoa that are helping the plant in its life cycle to grow and to produce its fruit and to reproduce. So we found a way to stabilize all natural microbes that we harvest ourselves from a compost. And you can add it directly to your plant. You add this once a month, you add the CKA once a month, crab, kelp, and amino acids. You start your plant in mineral-based soil, and you have the 3 plant pillars down, and you're on your way to full gardening success. So you love your citrus trees, but do you know who else loves your citrus trees? Pests. Spider mites, red mites, aphids, psyllids, scale like whiteflies, mealybugs, they all love your garden and especially your citrus trees. Okay, so we need a solution to help your tree fight off all of these pests that come at different times. Caveat, these things really hit in tropical areas like us in South Texas or the Gulf Coast. If you're in cooler areas, you may not have as many pests, but there's always some sort of pest in every garden, and this regimen, all natural regimen, which I'm going to give you, is going to help you take care of any pests anywhere. So the formula to mix this natural pest control is 3 ounces of sulfur, 3 ounces of diatomaceous earth, and 2 ounces of Castile soap. So sulfur works to affect the enzymes of the different insects and kill them. Diatomaceous earth is actually a powder. It's powdered diatoms. It's ancient animals that got silica into their shells and fossilized. And these little fossils are actually like tiny shards of glass. So you spray it onto your plant leaf, and as the insects crawl over it, it cuts them and kills them, especially when they're in their nymph stage, the baby stage. That's when they're really affected by this. Finally, and it also helps dehydrate their outer cuticles. Finally, the soap is like a super dehydrator and suffocator as well. This one completely covers your plant. So how do you mix this up? We have a spray bottle, a pressure sprayer, Chapin, my favorite brand. For this, then we're going to take an ounce. We're going to measure off an ounce at a time, and we're just going to mix this in. We're just going to mix this in to our pressure sprayer. So we got 1, 2. You can do 2 to 3 ounces if you want of the sulfur. Some plants are more sulfur sensitive, and the key with sulfur is do not use it within 2 weeks of using any sort of horticultural oil or neem oil. If you use neem oil 2 weeks before and then apply sulfur, your plants will burn. If you apply, if you have sulfur on there and you use neem oil 2 weeks later, it may burn. So just take the horticultural oils and neem oils out of the equation. It'll be much better with this regimen. They don't work that well, we found anyway. So you got 1, 2, 3 scoops of the diatomaceous earth. These are powders, so these get a little bit messy. Put this aside. And then your Castile soap. Castile soap is great. It's made from olive oil. It's very good. It's gentler on your plants than any dish soap. Those, if you use on your hands, you can feel how rough it is and how it strips the oils off. So be careful with your Castile soaps and any soap, because soap dehydrates. And not only does it dehydrate and cover your the pests that you're trying to control, it also can do so to your plant. So if you use too much soap, you can suffocate and kill your plant. So be careful. 2 ounces in a gallon is a good low concentration for Castile soap specifically. You can also buy horticultural soaps. Those have been specially formulated. They've done adjustments with the potassium in the soaps to make sure that it's gentler on your plants. If you ever put too much soap or you're ever worried, you can always wash this all right off. None of this goes inside your plant. These are not systemic insecticides. These are safe for natural predators. This is safe for you, and this is safe for your pets and such as well. So, and safe for children as well. So and just follow all the directions on any of these in terms of the warnings. So you take this, you mix it up, and then you pressurize it down. Get some pressure in here. Then you're going to take your wand, which is attached, and you're going to spray this as a mist over your plants. And this, you're going to see the different elements of the diatomaceous earth sulfur. As you're spraying, every minute or so, give it a little twist up and down, and you can spray the undersides and over your plants. And you can, if you see any pests, you can directly get them. You can change the wand so that it's more direct and it's more of a stream, or you can change it so it's more of a mist. And already, if you want to look closer here, you can see the solution, which is a thick, milky solution with the diatomaceous earth and sulfur. It'll look like nothing initially, but then you'll see it. If you really want to get things like mites, you want to get up and down, you want to get the soil as well, and you want to get all the branches and the stems as well. If you're looking for the baby nymphs, they're always on new growth. So your new growth is where your tree is going to be attacked first. So that's a very simple, very easy way to use a natural pest solution. After you're done, I would depressurize it so that the next time you don't accidentally get anything hit on you. You can use the entire thing. This can get clogged up a little bit with the sulfur and the diatomaceous earth. So you can use the entire thing if you want, fill it with some water and then spray some more water through it. If you don't do that, you may need to open this and wash it with water, hit it a few times, what I found, and it'll get started and get going again. You can put this away, clean your supplies, tighten all these up, and that's your solution to 95% of your pest problems. So the disadvantages of this solution is it's all external. So if it rains, this will wash away. So if you just apply it and you have some rain, unfortunately you may have to reapply it, and you have to look and see because it could rain again, obviously. The diatomaceous earth and sulfur are slower acting because and they really work on younger generations. The soap works better. You could put a higher concentration of soap in a small spray bottle and directly shoot and kill even a pest if you want. But if you put a higher concentration of soap, what you have to do is kill the pest immediately, then wash it all down with water right after. You don't want to leave this. Just a higher concentration of soap on the plant, that's when it'll die. But this right here, you can leave it on and you'll see this fine dust up here over this, and it's good for applying a very large area of plants. And that's your natural pest control. You no longer have to deal with weeds. No more weeds in your life. All these rice hulls will block the weed seeds that come in, and it'll help stop germination. You know, one or two might get through, but it's going to reduce the amount of weeds in there drastically, 95% plus. All right, we got one of my favorite soil amendments, rice hulls. Rice hulls are very unique, they're very light, and you can use them as two things. One, you can mix it in the soil, and the second is you can use it as a top dressing. Now, mixing it in the soil is great. It provides tremendous aeration. It's part of our super soil regimen. And the rice hull it's obviously the cover of the rice. The rice itself is the seed, and the covering is the hull, and it has a very high silica content. That's why you can hear it, you can feel how rough it is. It has very high silica, so it also doesn't break down fast at all. This stuff will last for years. If you use it as a top dressing, we'll take some here and we'll put it on top of our plant right here. Very easy. You can take about a quarter, half inch, and with this you're instantly going to give it a whole new look to your plant. It's very attractive, has a light color, nice and reflective, and it has a lot of benefits. One of the things that'll happen is you no longer have to deal with weeds. No more weeds in your life. All these rice hulls will block the weed seeds that come in, and it'll help stop germination. You know, one or two might get through, but it's going to reduce the amount of weeds in there drastically, 95% plus. If you put a very thick layer, let's say an inch or so, you'll also get close to 100% control of any algae. So you see with your potting mixes and such, often the top gets hard and there's, you know, green algae. It doesn't look very attractive. Look at the difference when you add some rice hull at the top. So by far my favorite top dressing. When you water it, it stays in actually, and it's pretty resistant to any wind or such too. What happens is it gets, over time it starts pushing in and it gets incorporated a little bit in the soil, and it starts mixing into the soil a little bit. So if you take a look right here, we've added this a while ago, and you can see it's a lot darker because it starts pushing into the soil a bit. So that's totally normal. You can add a little bit more on the top. As a soil amendment, mixing it in, it's a nice, efficient, cost-effective way to increase the volume and decrease the weight of your soil mix, whatever you're mixing in. Our super soil already has a rice hull, and that's what lessens some of that weight because we're adding that sandy loam, which is very heavy. Also, it provides tremendous aeration when it's mixed in to any soil. So these pieces don't break down. Gives them more opportunity for air to percolate through the soil. This specifically has 0 water retention, so it's a nice thing to play with. So you don't want to just plant something directly in 100% rice hulls. You do need some other things in there, but very, very helpful for aeration, doesn't break down, beautiful soil amendment, and absolutely the best when you talk about a top dressing. Doesn't get any more attractive than that. It's rice hulls.